Welcome to VintageWeightsPGH. My name is Rob, and I'm not in my basement gym. I am at York Barbell, and this is a tour of the York Barbell Museum. So in this opening room, it's divided between powerlifting and bodybuilding. And when you walk through here, you see the incredible statues of John Grimmick. You see the origin of bodybuilding with Eugene Sandow. I really like the way this display is set up because it paints a picture between, the father of bodybuilding and then paying it forward to York's very own John Grimmick. In here, I think my favorite thing are actually the shoes. So sitting over here by the York Paperweight, as they're called, they're the salesman samples. We got these classic pair of like old time strongman lifting shoes, and those are awesome. And then with the Sandow statue, if you didn't know, there's only 3 of them. There's the original, there's this one, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger had one developed. So it's really cool to see it in person. The cuts you see are because in order to move it or put it in storage, it gets taken apart. But he's holding those Sandow dumbbells. This I'm really not sure about, but it's just a cool piece. I don't know for sure whether or not this is true, but what I thought in my head was this was probably just sitting around like in the gym over the years at York, and now it's being preserved here, this cool old globe barbell. Now, if we take a step back over here, over on this end, we have all the different Olympic Games throughout the years that are highlighted. But what I absolutely love are the actual medals and trophies sitting in this case. So right here, this is Tony Terlazzo's gold medal from the 1936 Olympic Games held in Berlin. So paint a picture of that context. This is right as World War II is coming up. So you've got Nazi Germany growing 1936, and Tony Terlazzo comes in, the Italian American, and takes gold. That's pretty awesome. Team award from the Olympic Games in 1948, this big cup. So I won't hit you with every single thing here because I want you to come out and see this in person. It's free admission, it's in York, Pennsylvania, and it's such a good time. Let's head to some of the other rooms and take a peek. This is one of the biggest dumbbells I've ever seen, and it's a classic. It used to actually hang at the offices of York Barbell, we were told. We were given a nice tour of York Barbell earlier this morning. Big thanks to Matt. I've seen this done in a lift where someone straddled it and lifted it in an old Strength and Health magazine. I'll see if I can track down that photo and drop it in a follow-up. But it's really cool to see it in person. And I think he said it was, when filled, over 1,300 pounds. And then that leads you between where we just were and into the story of Weightlifting Room. And right away when we walk in here, I see some things that are extraordinary. So when we come over here, take a look. This right here is the Rolando barbell of Sig Klein's. I just read How to Bent Press by Sig Klein, and he writes about this actual barbell. So it is so amazing to see it in person. So when you look at the barbell, you'll see that this center handle, that's for bent pressing, that the divot's right there in the center. And it was given to him as a present, and then Sig Klein used it, and other classic strongmen used it for bent pressing. We've got an old kettlebell. Some of this stuff is just incredible to see in person that you may have only read about. So make sure you stop by. You'll know you're getting to the right place because you'll see, the York man doing his lift. But speaking of things I've only read about but now seen in person, would be Louis Cyre's dumbbell. So Louis Cyre, one of the most famous old-time strongman, he had a series of these dumbbells, and this particular one is right here. And the York gang, as they were called, used to have contests to see who could lift it overhead. And the plaque tells us several names like Bob Hoffman, John Grimmick, Sig Klein, who I just mentioned, being able to do so. So seeing Sears dumbbell, incredible, right here in person. We gotta mention the bears. Gotta mention the bears. Did you know Bob Hoffman likes bears and collected bears? I didn't know that. So another reason to come out here to York and see the York Museum is to find these little, like, kind of personable things about Bob Hoffman and the history of York Barbell that you probably won't read anywhere else. I've read books about York Barbell, and I've never once read that he collected bears, but apparently he did. I mean, in this picture, he's got like hundreds of bears, and they still have some on display here. Now, over on this end, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one of my favorites, the Mighty Atom, and there's some stuff that was bent by Mighty Atom. We got a hammer from Slim, the Hammer Man. So all this old time strongman stuff on display is also fascinating. One of the favorite things from this tour that I love, and I'll get you a better close-up of its partner, would be this breakdown of the round head dumbbell, because you can see how the steel handle sits within the actual cast iron round head. That's pretty cool to see. And there's all this paper product in different magazines, different things, and I'll drop some pictures because we had a unique opportunity to go upstairs, and Matt showed us around and showed us John Grimmick's actual personal collection that was donated to the York Barbell Museum. And we got a chance to see John Grimmick's books, John Grimmick's actual magazine collection, his all kinds of stuff. Even his gift when he retired was sitting there just right in front of us. As we walked through one room, we saw Steve Stanko's locker that's not on display yet. So that's something I'm looking forward to, is that we were told that York Barbell Museum is working on renovations, and they're working on new displays because, admittingly, some of these displays are dated, and things like that Steve Stanko locker from the original York gym, things like John Grimmick's personal library, that's amazing. That's going to be really cool to see. One of the most incredible things here at York Barbell would be this big room. So from an eagle's eye, kind of bird's eye view, if you didn't know, it's shaped like the letter Y, the entire building, as in York, but then with the barbell as part of the logo, and this is one of the circles of that globe. And it's got this big hanging display with weights and spin lock collars holding them in place. And then right behind me, there are some globe barbells and a globe dumbbell on display. There's no placard here explaining what these are, where they came from, but again, it's still incredible just to see in person this kind of stuff. Over here, we have a statue, a bust of Stanek and Bob Hoffman, and this is kind of neat. Right behind me here, it's just a small display. They've got it roped off though for a reason, and a good reason. If you look in this picture right over here on the right, that little bench that was in the old York gym, which was on the upper floor of York Barbell back in the day, is right there. So that's the actual bench that, like, Tommy Kono was just sitting there. So Kono's sitting on the bench, there's the bench. And that's the kind of stuff that you only see in pictures unless you come here to York Barbell and check it out in person. I kind of wish I could sit on it, but I'm not going to jump the rope. Nobody's around. I could probably pull it off, but I'll behave. I don't want to be like the first person kicked out of York Barbell. And then I think that's it, except for probably one of the most iconic things, which would be the York Barbell Man. So we'll step outside and take a look at that before we leave.